I walk the path of righteousness, along the path of justice, bestowing a rich inheritance on those who love me, and making their treasuries full. Delving into the text, I walk the path of righteousness. The question that comes forward is, what is the path of righteousness? First and foremost, you need to realize that this era is really bad, for people who follow this path of righteousness will not have a very easy life. Another question that surfaces now is, why is that? Think of it like there is a man who has this motto of saying yes to everything, no matter if it is his parents, friends, relatives, co-workers. Now, if you keep on following this philosophy, all the people around you will stop considering your feelings or even ask for your opinion, so in the end, you become a pushover who will never say no and will never hurt the feelings of the other person. One more example of this is a person who is very ordinary, simple, is hardworking and intelligent. So in this sort of situation, this person is like single-minded scholar. He has no friends. He has no social life. This kind of person is very rare. Like out of every 100 students, only one may be like him. And in a whole school, college, or university, there might just be less than 100 people like him. But still people like him have it hard, as society of today everybody calls them nerds, and when they grow up, they become introverts. Now the reasoning behind these pushovers, nerds and introverts actually being the people who follow the path of righteousness. Now if you look at these people pushovers, they are essentially people who like to help everybody, and their hearts are also so big that they don't ask for anything in return. For the help they provide, their very nature, is to help others and feel the goodness and happiness of their heart. Now this, quote, essence of a good deed is that you don't ask for anything in return for it. Now coming to introverts, think of it like in this society, when a person who is righteous, much like the person described above, is not treated in a very good manner, that person will, through the experience of years, will start letting go of people who are not right for him, so he will create walls around himself which ends up making him an introvert. One solution to introverts is that, since introverts are lonely, they should go ahead and by any means possible, like asking friends, parents, and relatives to help you get married. Once you are married, you have your own family, you will never be lonely after that. Along the path of justice. Delving into the text, along the path of justice. Now the path of justice, what does it mean? It is sort of like, for every action that you do, if they are bad, then there will be justice for it. It is sort of like that scientific Newton's law: for every force applied, there will be an equal and opposite reaction for it. And in spirituality there is also one such law, that is the law of karma. Now according to this law, God is omnipresent, which means He is everywhere. Now you ask, how is that possible? Everything in the cosmos has a piece of God as soul present inside of them, which makes it so that now God is everywhere and has been there since the beginning of time. Now since He is present everywhere, He must see everything and knows everything too. So according to the karma, whether it is good karma or bad karma, God will see to it justice is served. And in God's justice there is reward for good deeds, and punishment for bad deeds. And this law of karma, just like the law of death, is one eternal law, and no one can run from their karma. This is also why the above text was written I walk the path of righteousness, along the path of justice, bestowing a rich inheritance on those who love me. In this text, there are two key words here to explain. First is inheritance, and second is love. Now, the word inheritance is kind of a family thing in which someone old leaves something behind to the young family member whom he loves the most, but coming back to the text, the one bestowing the inheritance is God himself. So since it is God, giving something there will be no limit to whatsoever thing that he is going to give, it is sort of like, because it is God, he can give everything. Now, sometime in life, most religious people, actually what they want is that they end up going to God after their death and start living with him, sort of like they want salvation. They don't want to return to this world. So this salvation can also be the inheritance being described over here. In some spiritual stories, some people have actually described Jesus and other saints to be philosopher's stone. Now, philosopher's stone is the kind of stone which has the power of converting iron to gold. But this concept has different meaning here, as Jesus is not here to give out riches and gold. He is here to change people's heart and brain, which are completely black and heavy as iron. He will use his power to convert this iron to gold. So basically what he will do is that our brain can turn from iron to gold, which means instead of brain being the owner, it is now your tool to use as you see fit. And for heart, it will become the resting place for God's eternal love, and to accommodate this kind of love. God will see to it that there are no impurities in your heart. He will turn your heart into a diamond. So this can also be the inheritance being described over here. One more such rich inheritance, which will only be given under the condition of love. In this condition, you will forsake everything that this creation has to offer, and your only hope is through your love. What this means is that he only wants God, nothing else. So if your love is pure, you will definitely have God himself. So in this situation, what God will do, he will use the power of word on our soul and turn that soul into God. And since both are God now, they end up merging back together into each other. Now the question comes, we call God as God, even Jesus is God, and soul is also God. So what is the difference? On scale level, let's say like God is infinite amount of water, and Jesus is like all the water on earth, and whereas we souls are drops of water. So the difference here is that of scale, and since everybody is soul, we have very natural inclination to go back and merge with God one day. It is for this reason that 75% of the population is religious, and they believe in one God, no matter if the language is different, or the words are different, or people are different. Now the great thing over here is this, that even though we have never met God, still 3/4 of the population believes in God in some form or another of their own religion, and making their treasuries full. So coming back to inheritance, so you get the point that God can do everything. He even has power to convert a very normal and ordinary man into a person who is like Jesus Christ. Now the question comes, what is the difference between them? The difference is Jesus has been given the power of word to use, and having this word alone can make it so that all your treasuries are full. What does it mean? It means that you have no karma. You have total dominion over your brain and body. Since you have word, you can create everything even destroy everything. So this single power of word can make a world of difference. It can even let a soul make its transformation back to God Himself, like it was in the beginning, as God will only allow powerful souls return to Him. So now coming back to the actual inheritance that we as humans need, is that God actually sends His Son and our Father Jesus, so that under His teachings we are able to change ourselves. We have God's favor behind us. Through our Master's effort and grace, we end up becoming a disciple, which even His Master is proud of. In such a situation, all these inheritance described above will end up being open to Him. So you need to understand everything is possible when God is standing behind us. So whether the inheritance mentioned above or the worldly desires, like having money, land, and power, these can also be granted, but only under the condition here is that these things don't end up taking you away from God, only in a situation where there is a kind of neutral man who is not bothered by the pain of this world, or even the riches of this world don't excite him. Such a person accepts everything that comes his way, good or bad it may be. He treats everything as grace and blessing, which has been sent to him by God Himself.